Peace, everyone. Welcome to episode 13 of Get Buckets with Coach Gus Gauntlett and friends. I am joined by a coach up in the northern part of California, Coach Will Freedman of Lassen Community College. Will, thanks for being on the show. How you doing today?
I'm doing all right. Appreciate the opportunity to be on your show. I watched a few of your episodes. Really appreciate what you're doing, especially you addressing all the social issues, encouraging coaches to open that conversation up with the players. I think you're doing a really good, important thing.
I appreciate you saying that, and I appreciate you checking out the episodes as well. I know you're entering your 6th season up at Lassen, and it's funny. Actually, I remember being a young person, like in high school, and there was always a camp, like a really, really well-known camp up in Lassen. I'm not sure if it was at the community college, maybe somewhere else up there, but I had this like very distinct memory of the ballers in the Bay Area. Lots of Lassen basketball camp shirts around. I'm not sure if you're aware of that history or not, but it's known.
Yeah, no, that's cool. It's we're one of the few community colleges in the state of California that has dorms, so we do have the ability to do things like that. We got a real old school gym in a town that loves basketball, so it doesn't surprise me. And we do have some history of some really good basketball coaches back in the day. Coach John Jones was a real offensive innovator up here. Tex Winter would come up here and do some clinics and stuff. So there is a history of basketball in this area.
Beautiful. Well, it sounds like you found a great spot. I know you hail from Southern California. You briefly played some pro ball in Israel, and then it sounds like you found a great niche for yourself up there, and you're doing good things.
Yeah, it's I got really lucky through coaching and just basketball in general. The community is somewhat small, but with the connections you make, you're able to get a whole lot of opportunities. And I was able to meet some important people, got this opportunity to come up and coach here, and basically just living the dream since, other than having to deal with actual winter, going from the beach to up in the mountains where gotta get frost off the windshield and all that stuff, deal with learning how to drive in the snow. It's been something else, but a great experience nonetheless.
That's what's up. I also want to note that I think of all the guests so far, your background setup is truly remarkable. I'm seeing Kobe on the Sports Illustrated. I'm seeing the famous Jordan statue in the back.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to assume that's a basketball medal of some sort above the Jordan statue. So you've created a great, Zen space back there.
Yeah, we've been doing most of the stuff remotely. So, try to have things in the background to keep my guys motivated, because most of my guys I really haven't been able to meet. So it's mainly talking to a little screen. So, just trying to keep things fresh and trying to keep myself sane as well.
No doubt. In our conversation yesterday, one thing that I really appreciate that you said was the idea of how you're trying to be really intentional about still trying to build team camaraderie and community, even in the digital platform, which I think is so important. And I think one of the things you said yesterday was you really want to make sure that the guys felt like they really belonged to the team, even during this time. So I appreciate that intentionality, even with the physical setup of your space as well.
Yeah, no, definitely. Obviously everybody's going through stuff, but especially these guys and at the junior college level, because these are the guys who really need that structure. Some of them are looking for a second chance, another opportunity to showcase, what they're about and the talents that they have. So them having to do it from so far away, because we got guys from all over the country, obviously California, Nevada, Washington, Texas, South Carolina, New York. So making sure that these guys still feel that they're a part of something when I'm asking them to do workouts on their own. I want them to know that, hey, you got plenty of teammates, struggling, trying to do this stuff as well. So even though they're at home, still making them feel like they're part of something bigger than themselves.
Beautiful. I love it, man. I love it. All right. Well, this is Get Buckets, so we're going to get right into it. Your team is down 1, say 10 seconds to go. You need that hoop. You're up first, Coach. What do you got for us?
All right, here. Again, appreciate the opportunity. All right, so the play that I'm going to share, there's different aspects to it. What we do is, we like to, pace and space is our foundation of offense. And then obviously we attach our defense to that as well to keep that pace. But we play 5 out. We want to run constantly. But depending on personnel at the end of a shot clock, what we'll do is we'll run a 1-4 flat. So I'm going to show you our kind of main set and then the actual one that we kind of have at the end of the game, and actually show you an example of us in a situation where we were down 2 with 10 seconds left. So this is the play itself. So 1-4 flat. We want our shooters in the corners to, again, create that space, have an opportunity for a talented ball handler, whether it's our point guard or whoever that is, up at the top. And we want the 5-man to come and set a screen. As that happens, we want the 4-man to kind of stand in the middle so he can make a read and go the opposite where the ball handler is going to go. So it's a roll and replace play. So as you see here, uses the pick and roll, the 5-man rolls, and then we have the 4-man replace to that open area. So here's an example. Got some animation with the 2. So here's the guy setting the pick and roll, and then here's our replace man. We have a really talented shooter here, so you can see they end up switching, which gives him an opportunity to set up and score. Here's another example where, again, send that screen, roll and replace, and you can see the space that's created here where he's able to then attack the basket. So we do this at the end of a lot of shot clock plays, so we rely on our opponents to have a good idea of what we're going to do. And with all that space, we can kind of plan, what a lot of teams will do, especially with 10 seconds left, they'll try to get the ball out of our best ball handler's hands. So they'll double team, they'll do something. So to kind of counter for this, it's the same setup. We want our 5-man to take a little bit of a wider route and almost set a ghost screen. So he's not really setting that screen. So putting the defense in a position where, hey, if you're going to double, you're leaving a guy wide open. And so as that happens, as he sets that ghost screen, we have our ball handler look to attack the basket. And again, we have shooters on the wing to create that space. And then the man who does the ghost screen then goes down and sets a screen for the man who normally would replace. So here's a game example here. It's kind of hard to see. This is, the situation was about, I think, 13 seconds left. We were down 2. And so here's the guy coming up to set that screen. He's taking a little bit wider of a route. All right, ghost screen. As the attack happens, this guy rolls up to replace. And so as you see here, he's wide open. Mm-hmm. But and I'll show you another view of this because, again, this is kind of hard to see. The man in the corner, because we have shooters in the corner, he's in no man's land where he has to decide, am I going to help on that ball handler or am I going to leave shooter in the corner? In this situation, he left shooter just long enough and we're able to hit the 3. So here's another view. It's from a women's basketball player Snapchat, but still you can kind of see it a different angle. So again, you see the angle of the guy coming to set the ghost screen. As he slips, you see that the double is exposed. You see how wide open the guy is at the top, and then you see the man just with enough space, the corner hits a big time shot. And so yeah, that's flat.
Wow, man, I think there's so many things going through my head. One of the first things that I say is like just a lot of the coaches that I've had in the show so far have been at the high school level. And obviously there's a huge jump from the high school to the JuCo level. And I think that this play is a great example of that because in all of those shots that were hit, I mean, when you say wide open shots at the JuCo level, that means that, they've got maybe a foot and a half of space because they look to the naked eye, maybe the untrained eye, they look like contested shots and just big time shots. But because of the set, it does give them the space they need at that level to hit a much more high percentage shot than someone all up in their face. That's the first thing I see.
Yeah, and and especially at this level, because again, the unique part is trying to get these guys to be on the same page because they're at this level to get scholarships to move on. We have these guys for 1 to 2 years, and then they're moving on to bigger and better things. So with our style of play, we want to showcase our guys. My philosophy in terms of the play calls we do is we want actions that'll try and create an advantage for them, and then we're just trying to play. Obviously, we do have some quick hitters, but more or less, we want these guys to showcase what they can do, put guys in difficult situations to defend us, and then also teaching basketball just as a whole. So they're not just running plays; they're playing, where they're able to make those reads. Where in that play right there, I would have preferred the shot at the back at the top of the key because what I like about that shot is whether guys realize it or not, they've been practicing that shot their whole lives. Because usually if you have you're shooting with somebody, the rebounder is under the basket passing out from the top. So guys have been practicing that shot a lot. And so being able to try and replicate that, they're kind of in their comfort zone. But then as, you have a guy penetrating, at the same time giving him the freedom to showcase his basketball IQ, where, hey, if the guy helps, hey, you hit the open man, and then just kind of playing off of that, because having the ability to just play is a lot harder for teams to prepare for as well, versus, oh, we know exactly what plays they're going to run. We can set up a defensive strategy to try and, mess up their rhythm, versus, hey, we don't know what this team's going to do. We just have to play hard. I'd rather have that type of thing going into a game versus, hey, we know exactly what they're going to do.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Another element that I love about that is, the 1-4 flat is something, I was in high school, 20 years ago, and that's something that we learned, and especially for end of the shot clock or end of games. It's a pretty well-known set. But what I like about what you did there is that, just a couple wrinkles that you add to it, even the small additions of, change on the second one you showed the 5 set and the go screen, and then coming down a set at the screen for the 3. Just small little changes to that make the play so much more dynamic. Whereas I think at the maybe more rudimentary level of the 1-4 set, either it's just the ball handler going one-on-one, with everyone else staying on the baseline, or maybe bring that 5 up for a screen. You play some 2-man action. But it's still relatively expected and standard. So I think even just those small wrinkles that you put in at the JuCo level do a lot for the play. And I appreciate what you say about really trying to accentuate your players' skills and put them in positions to demonstrate their ability. And it's a beautiful mindset.
And it's easier said than done, right? Because as coaches, we're control freaks, right? We want them to do things a certain way, but at the end of the day, especially this game, we didn't play particularly well. This was against College of the Siskiyous, and they played a really great game, but it was one of those things where at the end of the day, we have to empower our guys, right? Because we're not making any shots. I haven't scored a significant basket in over 10 years. So, these guys have to be empowered to know that not only do they have the knowledge and the skill set to do it, but, we believe in them. When they look at our bench, we want them to gain confidence versus, looking over, seeing if coach is going to take them out type of thing. Obviously, with that being said, especially at the JuCo level, there's still plenty of times where it looks ugly, but as the year goes on, we want that growth because, who knows what type of system they're going to be recruited in. And so, like you said, and I believe this was mentioned in one of your earlier shows, was, you want these guys to feel comfortable running these sets. We want them in practice a lot. They understand. And let's be honest, too, in a situation like that, it's loud. There's a lot of emotion involved during a timeout where, hey, just remember this play from practice. We've done this before. You've done this before. Just because the setting is different, it's still basketball. Basketball's still basketball. And, they know their options. They trust. And, ultimately, you have little things as well. Like we ran that play with enough time where if we missed, we'd be able to get a tip in. If we needed to have enough time to call a timeout, we still had enough time to call a timeout where, also we still have guys rolling to the basket on the shot. So we have a rebounder. So it's not just a one and done type of situation. So, and making sure that they understand that too, because what if we didn't have a timeout? We still want to have enough confidence where, hey, we've done this before. Don't try and do too much. Just be yourselves, because that's enough.
Love it. Wow. Really, really beautiful. Ideology of coaching, and at least in the plays that you showed me there, it seems like your players responded incredibly well. And the play always looks awesome when the shot goes in too. I love
exactly. Yeah, exactly. I could show you some other ones, but not enough time.
No, those are great, man. All right, awesome. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate it. I'm gonna hop in. All right. So thanks so much for sharing, Coach. I appreciate that. I'm gonna draw up mine here. So this is basically just an addition or an extension onto a really basic set, which is your standard flare screen set. We're going to have the 1 coming up here, 2 starting here below the rim, 4 here on the elbow. I'm going to have my 3 here, and I'm actually going to space out. I'm going to call it the 5, but at the end of the game, this it doesn't necessarily be a big man. Ideally for spacing, similar to your play, we're going to want to have a shooter in that far corner too. So I'll just say the 5 here is on this corner. So it starts out with, just create a little space, a little action. The 1 dribbling out to the side here, 2 coming off that flare screen. And simultaneously, as the 2 is coming off that flare screen, that 3 is diving down as if he's clearing out for the 3 to do work on that side of the hoop. And then as the 3 here, the 1's making that flare screen pass to the 2. And as the 2 gets the ball, we're looking for a pretty quick action just so the defense doesn't get too set up. So the idea is that once the 2 gets the ball there, this space is open. 3 is coming here. Instead of the 3 coming all the way out, maybe the 5 even potentially setting a screen there, I want the 3 to come here, and then that 4 is going to dive down while that 2, immediately attacks that baseline. And obviously if the two has the space to score, we want them to score, and that's great. But if not, what I'm looking for in terms of continued action is that 4 to set that down screen, that 3 to curl hard, and really looking for that fit. I think in terms of spacing, we're looking for the free throw line, but of course the 3 is going to read that screen and see where the space is at. If it's right in front of the cup, that's what it is, although the 4 is going to be occupying that space most likely with the screen. So we're looking for that 3 to come off to the elbow screen or to the free throw line, and then the 2, making that pass there. So just to kind of, bring that back, we got, once that 4 sets that down screen there, that 3 is coming up here. And then if the 3 is able to catch the ball here in space, once that 4 sets that screen here, we're going to have them clear out just to create space as well. And then the 3 is looking to attack. So pretty standard set in terms of the flare screen. The only addition I'm looking to make in terms of continuation is that 3 coming off of it, and just giving the 2 another option. I think looking in your plays, and on that first one you showed, sometimes that first screen, that player is going to pull up and shoot, and that's great.
Yeah.
But I want it, as the play develops more, if that first or second option is taken away, I like that 3 coming off that baseline cut, getting a down screen from the 4 and popping here around 15. So that's what I got. I'm going to call it, flare with the continuation. I'll think of a cool name later on. Now I'm just going to call it flare with the continuation.
No, I like it, especially with a 3-man cutting through. What I've experienced is having any guy cutting through, that his defender more often than not is going to turn his head, so he's not looking at the ball. So you already have the 2-man, who his man is obviously going to have to get out of position to be able to avoid the flare. So he's going to be chasing that too. So as he goes, there may be an easy wide open layup where he's basically using 3, following him as a blocker, getting that layup. You'd even have the 4-man after setting that screen, reverse pivot, and have a nice easy post up that close to the basket. So no, I like it a lot. A whole lot of options.
I love that. Yeah, and great note about the 4-2, just reading the space. If that's there, you're right, just sealing and getting that dump down.
Yeah, because it's defense can very rarely guard multiple actions, right? Like, they have enough attention span to be able to do one thing, and then you throw another thing in there, and that's where someone's going to be open. And then that's where, especially if you got guys who know what they're doing, unselfish, I like that a lot. You got a lot of good options there.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. One question I'm really interested in terms of at the JuCo level, you mentioned you have players coming from all across the country, how has recruitment been built in your program since you've been there? How do you reach out to players from across the country? Is it that they find you, you find them, connections to other coaches or AAU programs, or how do you go about it?
Well, what's unique too is the clips I showed you. One of the guys who had a layup, he was from Belgium. The guy who hit the 3-pointer in the corner, he was from the Ukraine. So obviously with social media, the internet in general, the world is a lot smaller. So being able to utilize different recruiting databases, because there's my email gets blown up just like I'm sure every other coach with which emails from guys looking for an opportunity. Wow. So that's where we're able to at least make some contact with guys. But like I mentioned earlier, it does come down to relationships, because even then, a guy sends you an email, you got to be able to reach out and just like a boss trying to hire somebody, you got to look at the references to make sure that if you're bringing somebody in, they're trustworthy, they're bringing something to the culture that you're wanting to build. And so with us being in such a rural area, we're in a really small town. We're 2 hours away from JuCo. The fastest way to get here is to fly into Reno, Nevada, then drive about 80 miles northwest back into California. So we're very secluded, which, it could be boring for some guys, but the main thing that we're looking for recruits is not only high character guys, but guys who love basketball, because there's not much to do here. So it's a great place. I kind of compare it to Rocky IV a little bit, where he goes up into the mountains and just, grinds it out, finds a way to get better, grows a nasty beard and is running in the snow, all that stuff. We want guys who don't mind, leaving the city, coming up to an area where, we have on campus housing. It's a small town, it's a small school, so our gym's open a lot. We don't have ballroom dancing classes or something going on in the gym. So if we got guys who want to get in the gym, they're able to, and they're willing to wake up early, stay up late, they'll be able to work on their craft, get in the weight room, all that stuff. And, again, you're rooming with teammates. So we're able to kind of build that atmosphere of, we're trying to get better, where the culture is, you can't help but develop good habits, because the foundation of what we do is we work. We're in the gym, where we're getting that sweat equity in, where the guy who you could be potentially passing up your shot for to give up to somebody else, he's working just as hard as you because he's been in the gym with you. You have that that collective effort, and so finding these guys who truly love the game, which is also easier said than done. But this is a unique situation we're in now, where with the pandemic and things being closed down, the guys who truly love basketball are going to separate themselves from the guys who just like to play basketball, right? The ones who are still finding a way where they're willing to play outdoors now, because I know that's kind of become a lost art, where they're willing to play outdoors. It doesn't matter if you're shooting into the wind, you're still playing. It's better than sitting at home playing 2K or something, because that's what it comes down to. Because we want guys who want to get in the gym, because that's what it comes down to, and that's the point of junior college. To begin with, it's your second chance, whether they're here because they needed to improve their grades, they needed to improve their study habits and work habits. Maybe they just didn't get the looks because they were in a small high school and are just looking for another platform to showcase who they are and what they can do. That's kind of what we're about. So it's trying to find, that mix of guys where, at the very end of the day, they're staying out of trouble. They have a good perspective on things, and, they just want to work and get better.
Wow. Yeah, I love it. And I can just tell, just in your voice and in your energy of how you're sharing that, that's what you represent as well. It sounds like as a coach, and that I believe that you have a lot of care for your players and want what's best for them. And I imagine that they see that in you as well. So I really appreciate what you're doing up there.
I appreciate that. And I've been lucky, like I'm sure you have been too, when, I hit the lottery in terms of the family I was in, parents. I got 3 brothers that if I'm not on top of my game, they're going to roast me. So it's like the competitive level is there. And I've also had some great coaches. I went to Santa Monica High School. I had Coach Hecht, who has built that program up to way further than when I played there, but learned a lot of things from him and my other coaches, where I'll never be able to pay them back, but I could at least pay it forward. Right. And try to, pass on the knowledge and the stuff I've learned from my own experiences to my guys. And ultimately they can pass that on to whoever they end up leading later on down the road.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Well, Coach Will, man, I really hope that, a season works out for you in the springtime. And I hope you enjoy your training as much as possible up until that point. And definitely, if you're ever in the Bay Area, reach out. You always got a good coaching connect down here. And we'd love to connect.
No, definitely. I appreciate the opportunity, appreciate what you're doing. And yeah, let's hope things, get a little bit better so we can watch some more basketball.
No doubt. All right, Coach, stay healthy. Have a great day.
Thanks, you too.